What is going on, everybody? Welcome in. It's the Wager Alarm live stream. I'm Howard Bender. With me, of course, Craig Mish. Well, when last you saw us, we were talking football, football, football. Well, we know it drives the bus in the fantasy industry. Well, that bus is in the garage right now getting an oil change. It's baseball time, Craig. And I got to say, first of all, a word of congratulations to Craig because you are now working for the Miami Herald.
That's true.
You are always covering the Marlins, but now, I mean, that's even more so here. So I just want to say congratulations to you on that one.
Thank you.
And we will not talk any wagering about the Marlins.
Yeah, I mean, when we do the NL, I'll give my opinion on just where it is. But yeah, in general, I try to stay away from the Marlins. Doing a lot of reporting on bobbleheads tonight, in particular. But yeah, no, it's I gotta send you their bobblehead. They're doing bobbleheads this year. I'll make sure I send you those.
I mean, listen, I have my collection of bobbleheads on my shelf over there, and aside from an overabundance of Marlins right now,
you have a
still
lot of Marlins, yeah.
Front and center is my pit bull bobblehead.
That's right.
Which actually plays music if you put the batteries in.
Dale. Yeah, it does. So we're back here for win totals again. We're going to do the American League tonight. We'll do the National League, I believe, Friday. I think we agreed upon. Is that still on?
Oh, sure. Why not? I don't know. You tell me. You're the stage manager for a production of Pippin down in South Florida.
I know my daughter is very, very busy. But yeah, I think that we're good for Friday night, and so people can watch these on demand. I think that it's probably by now pretty obvious of all the things that I do with wagering, I tend to be the best at this, I think. So hopefully that will be the case again this year. I'll say for the beginning on this one and the beginning of the next one that we certainly will have very good opinions on this, and Howard follows baseball just as strong as he does football, so very confident in Howard's opinions on these two. But what I would also say is that I'm very specific with this. And on Friday night, when we end, what I'll do is of the two streams that we do, and if you're watching the American League one now and you're watching it on demand on YouTube, find our National League one if you're watching this, let's say, late March, right before the season, because I'm only going to have a couple that I really like, and that's it. And I unload. I mean, that's pretty much the way that I do it every year. I don't see value in making 10 bets. This isn't like Super Bowl props. I find teams usually, my theory on this is I'll find teams somewhere in the middle. And by the middle, meaning between about 72 and 82. That's usually what I target. And what I try to do is figure out, Howard, which of those teams I think are going to be a little bit better than their win total in the 70s and 80s, and which will be worse. And the teams that'll be better, I'll go obviously the over there, but more importantly, who is going to be in that 70-ish win total that's going to fall out, that's going to trade a lot of players. And usually that is really where you can cash in, and I have over the last few years doing this, is identifying those teams that are signing all these one-year contract kind of guys, and then you know what happens, Howard, they get to July 31st, and it's boom, everybody's out the door. And then you know what happens in the second half of the season when that happens. So last year we didn't even do this. It was a little bit of an anomaly given the nature of the season, 60 games. We just kind of were like, forget it. Let's not do it. That's kind of the way I saw it last year. But yeah, let's get going. American League.
Well, let me ask you a quick question here before we kind of get team specific here and we start looking at the numbers. How does 2020 weigh on you when you start taking a look at, setting up for wins totals? Because we're hearing a lot of stuff going on right now. We're hearing a lot about, the way starting pitching is going to be handled. We're hearing all the talk about deadening the baseball and what that could end up doing. Does that have an impact when you go in and you start looking for teams with win totals in that 72 to 82 wheelhouse of yours?
Yeah, I feel pretty strongly that I know the rosters of most of the teams, and I know the direction of the way that the teams are going to go. And look, there's certainly a case to be made and say, hey, the Dodgers total, when we do that on Friday, it's over 100. They look amazing. They'll probably win 1 million games. And you know what? That's definitely possible. But for me, I just stay away from Howard, the bottom and the top. And specific to 2020, yeah, I mean, there's definitely some takeaways, I would say. But I think the takeaways are more trendy, meaning that if they were headed in a direction last year, do I think they're headed in the same direction this year. The offseason definitely has a lot to do with it. And it's not necessarily the players. To me, it's the message. Like, what message was sent by organizations, and as we're looking at these win totals? Which teams look like they did absolutely nothing and don't care, and which teams look like they really want to fight till the end? So, look, it's not an exact science, but I feel like we've done a really good job identifying those. Somebody already asked me on Twitter when we're doing this, so I have a feeling, and again, right before the season, if we have an adjustment, maybe we'll come back on and do another 30-minute one, like 2 days before the season, because truthfully, not all of the win totals are out everywhere. I know that the Westgate put theirs out. I'm still waiting on FanDuel. I think that's coming next week. So the markets could significantly change, and it may be interesting for us to 3 weeks from now come back and say, hey, look where it was, and look where it is now.
All right. Well, then let's get going with the American League. Let's start off. Where do you want to start off? You want to start off with one of your favorites? You want to start off? You want to go divisions? Let's go divisions. Let's go to the American League
right
East.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
We'll start off at the top. I know you don't want to touch it. The Yankees 95.5 on the win total there. That is out of your range, and
yeah, but I'm happy to give an opinion on it, and it just won't be one that I would bet. Right. Look, there's we could start right off with my old cliche about a tax, and you're definitely paying that for the Yankees every year, no matter what. You're also going to be paying it every day you bet on the Yankees in the regular season too. They're always going to be favorites. It's very rare that they're a dog. We've gone through this now for decades. I think they had 1 year of not close to the postseason. Look, they probably should be the favorite to win the division, even though Toronto is better. And I would say the Rays, even though people will be down on them for losing Blake Snell, I really feel like they could be just as good as they were last year too. But the bottom line for any team that has a club like this is that you look at their pitching staff and you say, are they well-rounded, or do they just have one guy? Now, I think their pitching is okay, but ask yourself this question. If you bet over 95 and Garrett Cole got hurt, are you going to win that bet? I think the answer is no. If Garrett Cole makes 30 starts, he's more likely to throw 200 innings than almost anybody in the big leagues. The likelihood is they're going to go over that total. So you're so reliant on one player there with the Yankees that the only way that I could look here is bet on health on the over. But then again, it's the Yankees. They've had so many injuries over the last few years, and they kind of have defied all of those with playing guys like Matt Tauchman. And Ford has come up and played very well for them. Mike Ford, I believe is his name. I talked to him last spring training. So my lean on the Yankees would be over, but I am not involved at the top and at the bottom because of the variance. And one guy could really cost you on this team. And his name is not Stanton and his name is not Judge. It is Garrett Cole. He goes down and you are going to lose your 95 win bet.
All right. The Rays come in at 88.5. That's second highest in the East. Again, out of your wheelhouse, so it's probably a non-bet, but I'm sure you've got a lean here on Tampa.
Yes, also a lean on the over here. I'm not going to be scared off by them losing one player. I think that Ryan Yarbrough is going to step up, and he is going to have a major impact on this team. It would not shock me to see the Rays find another diamond in the rough. They've made a couple of trades this offseason, too. Their offense is moving a lot of pieces around. Meadows had a down year last year. Didn't really play well in the 60 games, and maybe he bounces back. Randy Arozarena is another player that I'm buying in the fantasy season only because I feel like I'm at the stage of my life in playing fantasy where I should be playing to win or nothing, and he's like a win the league or lose it type player. So I'm in on him again as well. Brandon Lau at second base. Look, their offense is very good. I feel like their pitching is solid. And they you know who the Rays feel like, Howard? They feel like the Oakland A's of like a decade ago, where every year always people are waiting for the shoe to drop, and it just never did. I don't think it drops this year on Tampa Bay, and I think they're right back where they were a year ago. Are they built to win a championship this year? Losing a guy like Snell, look, I don't think so. I think that's a tough loss going into a postseason series, but they have another great equalizer this year, and we're going to see him in Wander Franco. And every single person that I talk to is absolutely sold on this player. I generally am not like huge on rookies, but I can't find anybody that tells me that this guy ain't going to have a big year. So once the service time deal is up, they call him up. I think that he wins Rookie of the Year in the American League, and I'm over on the Rays, 88.5.
All right. A little further down, you got the Blue Jays. Now, this is a team I think everybody's pretty excited about. 85.5 is the win total that we're looking at for these guys.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll lean the over there also. I mean, but
hard to believe that we could do that with 3 teams, right? But
well, I mean, when you've got the Red Sox and the Orioles in the division, you kind of can lean on the over for the other.
And there's
3.
a preview of the next 2 teams. So yeah, so I feel the least of the 5 teams, the least confident in this one. I'm not a huge believer on just like adding all of these pieces and just making it work. But look, on paper, there is no doubt that the Blue Jays hitting is either the best in the division or close. It definitely is. I am still skeptical on the pitching. I really am. I know that Ryu had a fantastic season last year. I get it. I understand it. I don't love the pitching behind him. What I saw from Pearson last year, I'm not going to get too caught up in it because I know anything can happen on a year-to-year basis. Adding Springer is clearly huge, but that was all, even without Springer, Howard, that was all, they were great already in offense. Like, I don't know that they needed him. I saw the report today that Vlad Jr. lost 42 pounds. I don't believe that for a second, by the way. Maybe it's 22, but 42? I mean, man, I want to find out what
No. He's been here hanging out of the shed. I just got that treadmill put together.
Oh, you did, right? Chasing the mice around. Yeah, 42 pounds. I'm just going to pass on the Blue Jays. They certainly could go over this total, but it is not one that I feel extremely strong on. I think Bichette will be a player that I'll pick to win some awards and have a huge year. But pitching-wise, I don't know. But the first month of the season is going to be really interesting with them playing in Dunedin. I could tell you that. There's going to be a lot of offense there.
Yeah, definitely a lot of offense, which is why I'm very bullish on a lot of these guys.
Should be.
For fantasy purposes as well.
Should be.
All right, so Red Sox. The win total is 79.5. Now, Chaim Bloom, who's the new president of baseball operations over there, has spent this offseason treating the Red Sox like he was treating the Rays, right? Like small market moves, small market mentality here with a team that you should be able to boost the payroll. The team on paper to me is horrendous. Like, I'm not going to put too much stock into 2020, but JD Martinez is kind of, on his way down. There is no pitching on this team. When signing Jackie Bradley again in the offseason could be a salvation move, like that, yeah, you really have to worry about what they've got going on in Boston.
Yeah, I don't get this total. It's 79.5, and this will be one that I'll be interested potentially in betting the under. I feel like if the name wasn't Boston Red Sox and it said Seattle Mariners, we would just immediately go under. Are we betting on the jersey here? Now, look, I think JD Martinez will rebound. I'm not worried about him. I'm not worried about Bogarts, and I think Verdugo could be good too. But that pitching staff is a disaster. Like, I mean, Eduardo Rodriguez, who did not even pitch last year, is he throwing 150 innings this year? Like, you want to talk about real pitching concerns of guys throwing innings? Throw me an Eduardo Rodriguez issue. Throw me a Chris Sale issue, because I get it. Nate Eovaldi opening day.
Right.
The bullpen with Barnes, I know they got Ottavino. Let me tell you, they needed Ottavino in that bullpen. I don't know what they were thinking going into the season. So, yeah, I do not see this team as a 500 club. They were one of the worst teams in all of baseball last year. And all 3 of their outfielders are now gone from that World Series team with Betts and Benintendi and Bradley. It's not to say that Benintendi was great, but he was great a few years ago for sure. And the replacement is my guy Franchi. But look, I can't say that Franchi's going to be healthy for a whole season. I don't like this team at all. Under 79.5 on Boston for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And then we've got the Orioles at 66.5. Again, if we're going to look at the over for the Yankees, for the Rays, for the Blue Jays.
Right. Makes sense.
Makes sense to hit that under on the Orioles also. I mean, losing, 66 games or more, winning 66 games for this team is going to be an extremely tall order given what they've got. I mean, I wish I had something nice to say about him because I feel for them. I really
I
do.
do too. I do too. I
It's
like
just
Mike Elias a lot. I hope he's not watching this. He may get mad. But yeah, I'm going to go under on Baltimore. They were a big surprise last year. They started off, remember, Howard, how great they were in the first
yeah.
month, and then they fell apart in the second month. They were 25 and 35, right? They were only 10 games under 500. They had a pretty surprising season. But the Orioles are on. They're playing that long game. They're playing that 4 or 5 year Houston Astro lose 100 game deal. And I mean, they just let Renato Nunez go, like he was their better power guy from last year. They didn't even get anything
I
for
mean,
him.
that just says it all right there. That Renato Nunez was your best power guy.
You just let him go. The year before, they just let VR go. And then they said, all right, we're going to sign Matt Harvey and Felix Hernandez. Yeah,
That's the
I
move
think
I don't get. Like, why would you bring in a guy like Felix Hernandez? Even if he makes the team,
yeah,
right?
he will. He will.
He's
Look,
stealing a spot from a kid. You might as well let the kid play.
I know. Well, Keegan Aiken will pitch for them a little, and Grayson Rodriguez. Like they have young prospects. They have a fantastic catcher who they took first overall in the draft, and Adley Rutschman. They're going to have another high pick this year. I think they're doing the right thing. They've gone about this the wrong way for so long. The Orioles never spent a cent internationally, and all these other players are coming internationally, and they just refuse to do it. That's not the way they're going to do business now. 2 years from now, I think the Orioles will be back as contenders again, but I think they're headed to 100 losses again this year. So under on Baltimore for me, and I don't have a huge problem with it.
All right, let's go to the Central, the team that everybody's favoring to win this division. You got the Chicago White Sox. Listen, Rick Hahn's done some great things with this team, really great things. Good blend of youth and veterans in there. Made a nice move to bring in Lance Lynn, who could very well be, one of the better pitchers in the American League this year, just based on the run support that he's going to get and the strikeout numbers that he's going to have pitching in that AL Central now. Their wins total sitting at, where is it, 89.5.
Very high. Yeah.
Too high for you?
Yeah, I'm going to go under here. Go under here. Yeah, I think this is too big a jump for me from the last couple of years of where they are. Look, I think it's a really nice story. But when I kind of think this through and look, the pitching that they added with Lynn and then bringing back Keuchel, and Giolito is now an ace, no doubt. And then eventually, who knows, Ronaldo Lopez or Dylan Cease or Michael Kopech. Like they have all of these guys that they probably only really need one, Howard, to take that next step. But they do need one. Like they're going to have one of those guys become something. And Kopech didn't pitch at all last year. Look, offensively, they're still very good. They're bringing back Eloy, who's an absolute monster, no doubt. Tim Anderson will be an MVP candidate probably this year. Nick Madrigal will play at second base. They have a really good team. But it's like, if they only won 85 games, would it be a disappointment? I don't think so. I think that they can make that 10-game jump from 2 years ago and still be good and still make the playoffs, by the way, with 85 or even 86 wins. I just think 90 is a lot for a team like that. And they're very, very young. And Lynn and Keuchel are the vets, no doubt. They've both been there before. Both are innings guys. But I don't see this as an over here for me. I think that the number's a little too high for me, and I think 85, 86 wins gets the White Sox in the wild card, which I think is probably where they're going to end up. And they could win it all with that for sure. But the regular season, Howard, I'm under on 89.5 for them. And that's a lean for me. I wouldn't bet it.
Right. Okay. So that kind of tells me that when you're looking at the Twins at 88.5, you're kind of leaning on the under here as well.
No, I like the Twins over.
Ooh.
I think the Twins are the division winner this year, and I'm not really. And they had a great year last year. Look, everyone, what happens with the Twins every year it is kind of, again, like what happened with Oakland about 10, 15 years ago. We only remember the last thing that we saw. And the last thing that we see every year from the Twins, Howard, is them losing in the postseason. They just don't win in the post for whatever reason. And this is the story for them. They have great regular seasons and don't have great postseasons. But they're bringing back the same team. I mean, it's a good team. It's a pretty good pitching staff. It's not fantastic, but it's deep. They have 6 or 7 guys that can make starts. So that tells me that the season can go longer. They fortified the bullpen. They added Clippard and Colomé over the last couple of weeks to go along with a bullpen that was also pretty good.
Yeah.
And Donaldson had a horrible year. Sano had a horrible year. Mitch Garver had a horrible year. I think some of those things will equal out, even if Cruz isn't Cruz. So Rosario's their biggest loss, but he's like a two-war player. I think the Twins are winning the division. They're going to win 90-some-odd games, and they're going to lose in the postseason. But I'll pick them over. 88.5. It's a lean.
All right. You're making me more bullish on Alex Kirilloff now all of a sudden.
Kirilloff could be very good, but look at the offensive numbers last year, Howard, for Sano, for
terrible.
Donaldson, and Garver. Those guys, the Bomba Squad, right? Those guys 2 years ago were monsters. So they don't have to be. But look how many games the Twins won last year without those guys doing anything. Yeah. So very underrated team for me, but not built to win in October, unfortunately. Okay. It's just probably not going to happen.
All right, so we've got a lean on the under for the White Sox, a lean on the over for the Twins.
Mm-hmm.
Next team up in the division is
Cleveland.
Is it Cleveland? Yeah, it's Cleveland. 82.5 for them. This is an interesting one because listen, trading off Lindor, not having Carrasco, like I get that they still have good pieces. This outfield is trash. I don't know how they're gonna pop runs in there, and poor Jose Ramirez could be a man alone on an island for a good chunk of this season based on how streaky we've seen guys like Mercado and Luplow and whatever else they're kind of piecing together here. But where are you at with them as far as the wins total go?
Yeah, their number is 82.5 because they're like a pitching factory. That's just it just doesn't matter who they lose. They just keep bringing these guys up and they pitch. And now we're going to see if Tristan McKenzie is that next one. And he showed, of all the rookies last year, he showed some pretty strong promise right out of the gate. Savali was a little bit up and down, but I definitely could see him as a 2 or a 3. And they have Shane Bieber, who is arguably the best pitcher in the American League. Their bullpen is still pretty strong. Can't argue with the offense being subpar. You can't just lose Lindor like that and expect to be good. But defensively, I think they'll probably be among the best teams in the American League after adding Jimenez there. And then Jose Ramirez, who you mentioned, I'm not sure what Rosario is going to be, Ahmed Rosario, if they're going to keep him or what they're going to do. I guess I have a little lean toward the under because I do feel like they shouldn't be a good team, but it wouldn't shock me at all that we're in the last week of the season and they're sitting on 80. Like I could really see that coming to the end. I don't think they're a postseason team, but it wouldn't shock me to see them a little bit above 500 or a little bit below. So don't have a strong feeling on that one.
Okay. Next up, the Royals, 73.5. Come on, Craig. Brady Singer, Brad Keller. Come on. You're loving the boys in Royal Blue, aren't you?
Look, they did a lot this offseason, Howard. They did. They added pieces to their team. Look, I don't think Mike Minor's a star, but he's in their rotation. Mm-hmm. They added Carlos Santana at first base. They already have Whit Merrifield. Soler had a down year. Hunter Dozier. I mean, I think that this could be an over for the Kansas City Royals. I mean, it's not really asking a lot, and you'll hear that I'm down on Detroit. But yeah, so I do think that there is a chance that the Royals are getting ready to take that next step. Now, my concern with them was okay, you bet over 73.5. You get to July. Are they moving some guys? They have a couple of guys on one-year deals. But you mentioned Singer, who played for Florida. I'm a big fan of his. I hope eventually that he gets better. You're right, their pitching staff is not going to be fantastic. But if the Indians take a little bit bigger of a step back than we think, and I don't think the White Sox are going to be as good as the 89.5 would predict, and I definitely don't think the Tigers are going to be good, then I'm over on Kansas City. Yeah. It's not a strong lean, but I do like the Royals to get closer to being relevant again. I like their team.
Yeah. Let's wrap it up with the Tigers then here at 70.5. I like the under as well.
Me too. Yeah.
I mean, this team is just, there's nothing there. There's really nothing there. I mean, prospect-wise, sure, I can get behind, the development of Spencer Torkelson. I can get behind Casey Mize eventually being a decent arm in the bigs. But overall, I mean, top to bottom, offensively and pitching-wise, this team is just blah.
Yeah, they're doing it the right way. They're building it through pitching, and with Mize and Manning and Skubal, they're going to have two or three pitchers, I think, that are going to lead them when they're good again. But the problem is their prospects offensively are not very good. They are signing guys back again on 1-year deals to try to make the most of it. They're waiting for Miguel Cabrera's money to come off the books, and then they'll start spending money there again. Victor Reyes, like they just don't have a lot of great players there. They definitely have a nice upgrade of the coaching staff. I think AJ Hinch is going to do a good job managing them and maybe get a few more wins out of there. They also brought in the Dodgers first base coach George Lombard. He's going to be the bench coach there. I like the staff that they're building there, and I like the pitching staff that they're building too. But this is where fantasy comes in, and you know as well as I do, Howard, the young pitchers, man, like it almost never goes well. You know, for every 10 rookie prospects or even first, second year, 8 of them, their ERA is like +4, +5. You're not getting a lot of innings from those 3 guys that I just mentioned. And it's not like they have a ton of these 1-year mercenary veterans that are going to pick up the slack. So Tigers are on that same Oriole route. I cannot see them winning 67 games. I got under here.
I like it. I like it as well. All right, let's head out to the West. Astros, are they tops with 88.5? Yeah, 88.5 for the Houston Astros.
Right.
A lot of guys coming back. They kind of got off of things easily last year with no fans in the stands and the heckling that we thought was going to really weigh on them on the road. It wasn't really a factor. Now they kind of get back to business. Now they do lose George Springer in the outfield. That's a tough loss for them, but they re-signed Michael Brantley, bring him back. You've got your Correas and your Bregmans and the rest of this team that Houston has, as well as their pitching. 88.5. You know, I mean, listen, I think the Mariners are that bad and the Rangers are that bad that I could kind of go over here for Houston.
It's the lowest total for them in 5 years, 88.5. So the downside is playing the under is, yes, they lost Springer. They probably won't have Verlander for the majority of the season.
Right.
If what we saw from Altuve last year is going to be Altuve, that's a big problem. And their best hitter, I could make the argument, didn't play a single game. Actually, did play one game last year. He had a home run, one at bat for Yordan Alvarez. He had one at bat. He had a home run. So. But I'm going to be on the over here. I am going to be on the over here. I still feel like we're getting remnants. I know Jeff Luhnow gone, AJ Hinch gone, new organization, the cheating stuff. But there's no arguing that these guys knew how to develop talent. I mean, I'm sorry, but with all those first-round picks and those international players, they knew what they were doing. And they have a very strong, nice young pitching staff, I think, with Framber Valdez and with Jose Urquidy and with Christian Javier to go along with Zach Greinke and Lance McCullers. I think they're going to be fine, and I think they're going to win a lot of games. Now, offensively, are they going to be the same team, Howard? No, I don't think that they can be. You can't just lose Springer and pray for Altuve and get that. But, look, we don't know who Kyle Tucker is. But if Kyle Tucker and Yordan Alvarez combine for 60 bombs, and that's not unreasonable, what are they missing? What are they missing from last year? This is an over for me. Over 88.5 on Houston. I think they win the division, and the point that you made is an excellent one. 2 teams at the bottom of the division that don't give a bleep.
Not at all. Not at all. Which now we turn to the A's, who are at 86.5 right now. Here's a team that, again, I feel like they're a little bit in flux as well. I mean, they've got some good young arms in Luzardo and Montes, and Chris Bassett even comes in as a decent back end of the rotation support kind of guy. But they lose Marcus Semien over in the infield. Yep. They keep struggling to figure out what they're going to do at second base. Chris Davis no longer there either.
Right.
So there's a lot of transition here for the A's, but is that transition, going to outweigh the fact that they're going to play 17 games against the Rangers and the Mariners, who are just hot messes?
And that's why this is a pass. They're a very tough team to figure. Oakland is every year. I don't feel like I ever have a great beat on them. And sometimes you think they're going to win 75 and they win 100. Other times you think they're going to win 90 and they win 70. It's a very well-run organization. It's a shame they don't have a new park, and Texas does. But look, Elvis Andrews will play short this year, so they'll kind of replace Simeon with him. They still have Matt Chapman. They still have your guy Matt Olson. So the offense is still kind of there. Mark Canha all of a sudden is a guy now. He's a 25 home run guy, like kind of out of nowhere. And you mentioned the pitching. They also have A.J. Puck, who I think is going to be very good. If he's healthy, he's going to have a chance to pitch this year. They lost Liam Hendricks, too, at closer. I guess a little lean toward the under, and then they'll smack me around and win 90 games at the end of the year. So I'll just pass on Oakland. It's always best for me to pass on the A's. I can't ever figure them out.
Well, how about the Angels? 83.5. They come in with the next highest wins total there. Mike Trout, obviously, he's a major factor. Anthony Rendon is a top third baseman in the league. Offensively, listen, I think that the Angels are obviously they're a quality team. Sure. They're not the be all end all, but they're a good quality team. Can the pitching keep them involved?
It's like you want the Angels to be over that total. It feels like they're under every year, right? Like every year they're in the 80s and they're under. But look, Madden, a full year of him being the manager, you would guess that he'll get the most out of their pitching staff. It looks like Ohtani is healthy, and it looks like he's going to be able to do both things. David Fletcher is on their team, a very underrated player who I like a lot too. I wish I could give a strong opinion on this one. I know the last one I didn't, but I'm kind of the same way with the Angels. It's like I want to go over with them, but it would only be if you told me that Ohtani made like 10 starts and hit 20 home runs, I probably would do it. Like we've gone from such a strong belief on Ohtani being a game changer, even in fantasy, to like a nothing. No one even talks about him anymore. And he was the hottest name in free agency in an entire offseason and was drafted very high in fantasy leagues too, the first year out. I would love to see the Angels be competitive and get Trout back in there, but I feel like this number is really good. I feel like it's going to be right around this number, so it'll be a pass again.
All right. Taking it down to Seattle, the Mariners, 72.5. This number's, we saw a preliminary look at the wins totals last year before the pandemic, and I want to say that the Mariners were somewhere in like the mid 60s for their win totals here. I don't really see. Okay, Kyle Lewis and Dylan Moore kind of came from out of nowhere and played well during the shortened season, the pandemic. But between this, nonsense with the rookies and the service time and everything that's going on right now, I don't look at this team and think about this team as being, I remember, it seems like only yesterday it was Edgar Martinez and Ken Griffey Jr., anchoring the middle of this order, and now I'm like, really? Kyle Seager is still playing? Like that dude was a rookie in like 1862.
Yeah, they have two very young players that are among the top 10 prospects in baseball, and Kelenic, who you're referring to, and then Julio Rodriguez is probably a year or two away. Lewis had the great year last year for sure. But I'm going to lean under here on Seattle, and I think that I could see them being like the Padres or the White Sox, Howard, next year. I could see that. I could see them just kind of going back out and fighting again. But I got Kyle Lewis not as good as he was last year. I got Dylan Moore not as good as he was last year. And I'm not a huge Evan White guy. Ty France, they really don't have a great catcher. Their pitching is okay. I think that getting Paxton, if he's healthy, you're getting 100 innings probably. Right. Kikuchi was a disaster. Maybe he's a little better. Marco Gonzalez is good.
Logan Gilbert is expected to be that fifth starter, by the way.
Yeah,
that's according to Jerry DiPoto.
Yeah. You mentioned Dunn at all, or no?
I did not.
No. Yeah, Justin Dunn pitched very well at Boston College. Was their ace. He was like their Friday night college pitcher, and he really hasn't shown a ton. But that's a name like that I'm gonna target like late in my draft just because I saw him pitch in college and thought he was pretty good. But I'm under on Seattle, and this will probably be a team that I may have some interest on making one of the big bets on because I could see them moving players if they needed to at the deadline and then kind of going back after it. The next team that we're going to talk about in Texas, their numbers are so low already that there's really nothing to even say about it. But how does Seattle get to like 500? Do I see that at all? Like I don't see that.
Yeah, I thought the 72.5 was a little on the high side there.
Feels high. Feels like the number should be 68.
Felt really high.
Yeah, feels like it should be. They could be. Why can't Seattle lose 100? Is that unreasonable?
I mean, no, I don't think it's unreasonable. See, I'm not expecting that, but I look at them and I'm like, this is like a 65, 66 win team. Like, I don't look at them as being a 70 win team at all. So to see 72.5, I mean, of course, again, this will come down to the last game of the season. All right. They'll have 71 wins and we'll be like, I can't believe this.
It could be. And look, you can't deny that when Paxton is good, and if you said, hey, Howard, James Paxton threw 150 innings in 2021, you'd be like, oh, Seattle's probably good. Like because that guy when he pitches a lot is pretty good, but it's just
he just doesn't pitch a lot.
He just doesn't pitch a lot, and God forbid Marco Gonzalez something would happen to him. Oh my gosh, this team would just be pitching wise terrible. But the good news is they have the Rangers to face off 18 times against. So.
Gotta love that. 67.5 for the Rangers. I mean, this team is just, whoa. I mean, still shuffling out Shin-Soo Choo, and he's probably still their best player.
No,
right?
he actually went to the Cape to play in Korea.
Oh, did he leave?
Yeah.
Look,
he announced it like a couple days ago.
Yeah. So it's Joey Gallo then. It's all about Joey Gallo.
Willie Calhoun.
Ugh.
They just let Lance Lynn go. Yeah. I got to tell you that of all of the teams that we discussed, and I don't have a strong opinion because Texas clearly could win 68 games or 69. I mean, that's not a lot to win. It's not a lot to ask. But the Rangers, to me, Howard, are the single biggest disappointment of the offseason. I'll explain to you why. I have never, in all my years of following baseball, and watching teams and adding and subtracting, this is genuinely the first year that they have been given a brand new ballpark. And it is an embarrassing team to go into a brand new ballpark like this. I don't count last year. There were no fans there. Go through history of the last 20 years. Petco, Marlins Park, Seattle, Toronto. When you get a new park, you gotta try a little. Like you gotta be good. Fans are gonna be there. Don't you want to be decent for them? Yeah. This is such a bad team. Like, what in the world were they thinking going into this year? I don't understand. I don't know. Maybe this is a rebuild for them at this point. Do I recall a team going through a rebuild, getting a new park? Not really. I think when Washington was an expansion team, they had to play that first year at RFK. And then they got their new park. They still weren't really good, but they were pretty good that third year. The Rangers didn't do what did they do? Trade for Chris Davis? Is there anything else they did this offseason?
They brought in David Dahl, so they've got him in the outfield. They brought in Nate Lowe to play first base from Tampa. That's it. That is literally that is it. They didn't even do anything. Pitching.
Look at the pitching. Look at their pitching.
Oh yeah, they brought in Mike Fultonavich. What could possibly go wrong?
It's an embarrassing team, man. It really is. It's just crazy for me to think that a team could get a new park and roll this out like they are. But the problem is that for people who bet this number's already really low, and all it would require, again, I mean, consider them going into the end of the season. It's the last week. Let's close our eyes and dream. I don't know what their schedule is. Let's say they're playing a team that's also out of it the last week. They could be sitting on 63 wins, and all they have to do is win like 5 or 4 at the end of the year to go over the number. So if it was 70 or 71, I would love the under on Texas. In fact, I went under on Texas really big a couple of years ago. But I think I'm just more disappointed, honestly, with them than I am with betting against them because the number's prohibitive from, I think, going under. My guess is that people are going to pound this under. In a month from now, we'll see it at 65 or 64. They just have nothing on paper.
No, nothing at all. Nothing at all.
Nothing.
Like from bullpen to starters to going around the horn, there's really nothing to love about these Texas Rangers.
Nick Solak, I think, is probably the one.
There you go. That's your guy, right?
Yeah, like
utility player on any other squad.
I don't know about that. I think he's a good player. I think he's going to be a nice player in the big leagues. He doesn't have a position yet, but I think that he could end up being good. But Chris Davis, I mean, maybe I'll be wrong on him, but he looked done last year. He looked like the bat speed was just gone. So, maybe he'll rebound. I don't know. We'll see. But the strongest ones for me, maybe under on Seattle, 72.5, under on Boston, 79.5. What would you say that my favorite over was of the ones that we talked about here?
I would probably say out of all the ones that you talked about, your favorite over might be
Twins?
Yeah, I feel like it might be the Twins. You were pretty high on that, but it's 88.5. Yeah, I feel like you were kind of bullish on the Royals on an over.
Yeah,
there.
I like the Royals too. Yeah, I do. I like the
Royals.
I think
73.5.
Yeah, you know what it is? It's like people look at the record, the Royals. Can you tell me that the Royals did not try this offseason? They tried. They added players. It looks like they care. They added Carlos Santana. He's a good player. He's a major league player. He's a good player.
Yeah.
I like teams that do that. I'm gonna try and think that even if they're not playing that well, they're not just going to dump everybody at the deadline. And they have players coming too. I think Kansas City is almost ready to jump back into this thing again.
Yeah, I'll tell you. You know what? And I mean, think about it. Bounce back for Benintendi possibly if Soler keeps swinging the bat.
Yeah.
Mondesi stealing bases. Sal Perez is coming back. How many home runs did that dude hit last year on his comeback?
How about Whit Merrifield?
Well, yeah, I feel like he's kind of like dropping out a little bit. I think Michael A. Taylor, if he gets the job regularly, might be somebody interesting to watch.
Look, we can't sit here and not play the other side. Their pitching isn't great.
No.
But what are we talking about here? I mean, let me ask you, is Kansas City's hitting that far off Cleveland?
No, not at all. I actually would.
So how is Cleveland 10 games better than Kansas City? Maybe they're 3 or 4 or 6. That's a lot. That's a big spread between those two teams.
Yeah, but I mean, look at Bieber, Plesac, Savali, McKenzie is the top 4.
Of course, it's better than, and I can't argue that. It's definitely better than Kansas City. But what if Brady Singer takes that next step? What if Mike Minor is Mike Minor? I mean, he's pretty good. Keller, I don't know how he gets outs, but he does. So. Look. Again, if I'm going to go with something, I'm going to give you the opinion on it. But I do like Kansas City over a little bit. I think of all the ones, though, to be honest with you here, I think Boston under seems like the best one. It just does. It just seems under 79.5 seems really good.
What's that sound I hear? Oh, that's our producer John Impemba weeping. Right now.
John, do you disagree with anything?
No, he's a Red Sox guy.
No, I know, but does he disagree with the analysis there? I mean, how is it that the Red Sox are going to be like a playoff team this year? I don't see that.
I don't see it either, and I don't think he's speaking to me now. I think he's all mad at me.
All right, well, we can't please everybody.
Yeah, there you go. It's the nature of the beast, right there. All right, so favorite under, looking like the
Red
Mariners.
Sox.
Favorite over, kind of looking like the Royals. Some good leans either way, but I like it, man. I like it a lot. Are you just to preview for next one here on Friday?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you have more excitement about the totals for the American League or the National League?
Probably about the same. I feel like there's 3 or 4 that I'll definitely like a lot. Yeah, just kind of like the same here. What it'll be is that we'll get it down to about 5 or 6, and then there'll be 1 or 2 that I'll be in on completely before the season begins. It always ends up being an under in the 70s for me. I feel like that's always the way that it kind of rolls for me. But yeah, I mean, looking at the National League, there's a couple of teams that are just like like I think even worse than the American League. Like it's hard to look at it that way. But Colorado and Pittsburgh, Howard, are like I mean those two. I mean I think Baltimore may be better than those teams and maybe Detroit too.
Well, especially when you know that Colorado's going to try and find a new home for like Trevor Story and Herman Marquez and
that could be a really. But again, their total Howard's so low, 60s to start.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh probably is going to be the worst team in baseball, but I think if what is do we have? You want me to pull it up here?
Go ahead and pull it up. I don't see it.
I think they have the lowest, if I'm not mistaken. It's below.
I mean, how could you not? I mean, look at the product. You want to talk about putting just a piss poor product on the field.
I know. But they're doing the right thing. It's time for them to start over. I know. No. Oh, 57 and a half. 57. 57 is the total.
That's brutal.
I mean, how can you bet under that? You can't. They win 1 out of every 3 games. They're going to go over. Lose, win. Oh, yes.
I'm on pace to win this one.
Yeah, I'm not.
Well, all right. Well, so Friday night is going to be the at 8:30 p.m. Eastern as well. Friday night we're going to do the National League totals here. You've got the American League, and you got Craig's strongest leans here. You've got the ones that we like, and then probably a little closer to the start of the season, we'll revisit. We'll look at some of the movement here on the wins totals, and see if there's more value to be had. Absolutely.
Yeah, and maybe some, and by the time the season starts, we'll have the props also everywhere.
Yep.
For at the Westgate, those are not out yet. Total amount of hits. Remember, I think we did a whole thing on that last year, if I'm not mistaken, and then poof, it just was gone.
And then it was completely useless. I just did for the Fantasy Sports and Gaming Association. I did a prop bet draft.
Okay.
And I put together.
How did that work?
What's that?
And what was that exactly?
So you're drafting different props across a variety of sports, and because they're only doing it for the first half of the year, they cut off the MLB season at the All-Star break. So a lot of the props were home run leader at the All-Star break, as well as division leader at the All-Star break.
Interesting.
And I put together in a parlay St. Louis to be the division leader in the Central at the All-Star break.
Mm-hmm.
I did Houston as the division leader for the West, and then I put them together with a different sport altogether there. But,
yeah, that's new. I haven't heard. Is this a new thing for that FSG?
Yeah, we started last year. Went pretty well, but they tried full season last year, so it took forever to track, and by the time you knew who was in and who was out, I mean, everybody lost interest and nobody knew what to do. So I like the fact that they're split it up this year. It all kind of comes to a close at the designated All-Star break. Now, if something happens in baseball, it gets pushed off, then they're going to stick with that July 13th date. So we'll have all of that information there and all those first half of the season props coming up there. At 3,000, at plus 3,000, Yordan Alvarez to lead the American League, lead the majors in home runs.
That's good. 30-1. Why not?
Kind of going for that. Yeah, that was one that I was looking at. Somebody snapped that right up for me right beforehand. So I went with the homer pick of Aaron Judge at 20-1.
Yeah, no, not for me.
Well, you know what? I didn't even ask you about Aaron Judge.
Well,
okay?
I
don't want to hear that attitude.
Throwing it out there.
Don't be negative, Nancy.
Judge, nice teeth though. I must say that. Got his teeth.
He's got some nice teeth. Remind me to tell you my conspiracy theory that was brought to me by somebody else, that Aaron Judge could be the biological son of Wilt Chamberlain. Food for thought.
Never heard that one.
Right? Food for thought. I will. I'll fill you in on that one on the side here, Craig.
I'm trying to match up the dates when Judge was born and he died, but
Judge was born in 1992 in April. Wilt Chamberlain. I'll just say it. Wilt Chamberlain was on a book tour, and he was in the Northwest, in Northern California, and up to Seattle, in the late summer of '91.
It's a great story.
If he put one past the goalie, well, there you go. And I've got pictures, side-by-side picture here of Wilt Chamberlain at 21 and Aaron Judge at 24. Craig, it's going to blow your mind.
Okay. All right.
It's going to blow your mind.
I'll check it out. But thank you for that as we end. Appreciate that.
Just a little bonus there for you.
I really appreciate it.
That's going to do it for us here on the Wager Alarm live stream. Thanks to all of you guys for tuning in. We'll catch up with you on Friday when we do the National League wins totals. Big thanks to John and Pemba for producing. For Craig Mish, I'm Howard Bender, and we'll catch you next time.